Hi, I'm Dave Syme. I am a contract business analyst consultant, and I wanted to give a little bit of background to the business community and also to make a contribution to the business analysis body of knowledge to get into some of the specifics of a JAD session. A JAD session is one of the most powerful tools at the disposal of a business analyst. And a lot of times JAD sessions are not done right. A JAD session is a very rigorous, defined process whereby you elicit the requirements out of the business process owners. But not only do you elicit the requirements, but you build a consensus, you build a sense of teamwork, you build an understanding between all of the various stakeholders in the process of what the end result ought to be, what the compromises are going to be, why there are compromises, and actually build a cohesive unit rather than a typical situation where the users want more, the developers are crunched by time, nobody understands each other's issues, and you basically devolve into factions trying to see who can get the most out of the other group. A JAD session is more of a team building experience in conjunction with getting the requirements. The JAD session was actually created by IBM back in the 1970s. And it is still the premier tool for eliciting requirements out of business users. The JAD methodology is based on four basic ideas. Number one, that the business stakeholders have the best knowledge about how the business works, that the programmers and technology staff have the best idea about how to build the solution, that the two groups are modeling the same process and should be working together to do it. And fourth, that the best software comes from people who are working together as a unified team to achieve a mutual result in concert with each other. A JAD solution it follows a very formulaic design. Number one, you've got your sponsor, and that will be a high-up senior vice president, something like that, the person who is in charge of making the decision, who can actually get things done, and who can approach upper management to get more funding, more time, more resources, whatever they need. They are the sponsor. They have to be there. Well, they don't have to be there for all of it, but they have to be available, and they have to show up when they're needed to solve problems. Number two, you need a facilitator. That's the person that's moderating between the groups. Because remember, in a JAD session, you may have 4, 5, 6, 7 different corporate departments, some of whom may not get along with each other at all, some who may be competing for the same resources, or have divergent agendas. So you need that facilitator to keep things going. That facilitator would be me, which is what I do for a living. Number three, end users. You should have 3 to 5 end users who are actually going to be using the system. These would be senior employees who actually do the job day to day and can tell you whether we're meeting their needs or not. Next, managers. Managers typically understand the broader picture than the end users. They understand the interactions. They understand how the departments work together, and they can also bring to bear. They can also broker agreements between what might be warring departments. Fourth, you need to have scribes. This would be people who will write on whiteboards. This could be tape recorded. It could be documented in notes. But typically there will be great ideas being thrown out all over the place, some of which the response will be, well, listen, we're not ready to do that one yet, but that's a really smart idea, and we will get back on that one. Now, as the facilitator, I don't have time to necessarily to write things down on a whiteboard or to do that. Now, I may have my own whiteboard where I have a parking lot for ideas. But I don't want to be spending my time writing down everything that happens and keeping track of everything. My job is to mediate and keep things flowing smoothly. Next, we may have observers. These may be people from software companies. These may be outside people. This may be corporate counsel. This may be any number of observers that might be interested, that might have something to add. Sixth, you have the domain experts. Now, the domain experts are going to be people who may or may not be part of the company. Typically, they are part of the company, but they're the people that really understand the guts of it. And they may or be they could be at any level of the employee hierarchy. Sometimes some of the more functionary, get the job done type people wind up being the domain experts because they've been there since the beginning of the company. JAD is designed to address several problems that are inherent in software development. Number one, lack of user input, friction between users and programmers, lack of firm design. JAD, and the solution is, JAD brings everybody together, has everybody work as a team, and they don't go off in their own directions. They get to hear everything each other is saying. Problem two, requirements creep. One of the biggest problems we see is that the requirements move all over the place. They're not settled down at the beginning. And as users go through the learning curve, which they do always, the more software they see, the closer to a finished product they see, the more features occur to them. And the more they say, oh, you know, I just remembered I can't do without a delete feature, I can't do without an archive feature, I can't do without. And those are insanely expensive additions after the fact. What JAD does is it allows the technology people to work right there in concert and to educate the people. And hopefully many of these issues get brought up in the process of the JAD. And then everybody gets to see those features, evaluate them, and decide ahead of time whether they want them or not, instead of discovering things that had never been discussed. Problem three, inadequate requirements and designs. Through a rigorous process where many people are in a room together and they're interacting actively, and there is a moderator, there are notes being taken, and there are technology people available, we eliminate that problem, and most of the requirements wind up falling out in the course of the JAD process.